Ireland's housing crisis. When any of you, especially those of Irish origin, that were lucky enough to get on the property ladder pre-2020, there's not a hope of it now, but at least for the future anyway, until a lot of things are solved. On board Penala seems to be Ireland's biggest obstacle in relation to Ireland's housing. Over 12,000 proposed homes are currently stuck in planning system for years and will not be built. And Board Planala has rejected plans for almost 7,000 new homes stuck in the planning system for years. Applications for a further 5,500 plus new units in developments initially earmarked to be first fast-tracked under the Strategic Housing Developments scheme have also been controversially withdrawn. And the National Planning Authority has yet to decide on a further 19 developments with a combined 6,600 plus new homes, despite the fact they have been clogging the planning system for several years at this stage. The huge number of rejections and delays sparked a political backlash last Saturday evening, as the government is under mounting pressure to reverse a significant decline in new builds driven by infrastructure problems. It also comes amid deepening tensions between Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael over the botched appointment of Rookie Minister James Brown's top candidate for Housing Czar. Latest figures show on Board Penala has refused permission for 23 developments, with a combined 6,885 units from the SHD planning list, SHD being the Strategic Housing Development. These included development of 881 apartments in Dundrum, South Dublin. Some 1,018 of these rejections were made in the first 4 months of this year. The Planning Authority confirmed it has withdrawn a further 9 applications, with a total of 5,518 new homes, including a proposal for a 2,567 home development in Camp, Dublin. ABP confirmed that as of the end of last month, the fate of a further 19 strategic housing developments applications with 6,658 units is still not decided. Dublin 3,059 accounts for the largest amount of SHD schemes that remain lingering in the system, followed by Cork 1,579, Bray, County Wicklow 694, Kildare 744, Offaly 349 and Wexford 233. Over the past year, just 8 SHD developments with 2,399 homes have been given the green light. The majority, 1,050, are in Dublin, with the rest in Cork 563 and Bray, County Wicklow 586. The planning applications for more than 20,000 new homes were installed developments earmarked to be fast-tracked under the SHD. Under the scheme introduced in 2017, decisions on large-scale developments would be made within 16 weeks by ABP and bypass local authorities. It prioritised those with 100 or more houses and student accommodation units. In 2021, applications made Under the scheme seized after the government terminated the SHD planning arrangements and replaced them with different arrangements. In October that year, ABP secured 117 new staff to help it implement reforms and clear the backlog. Since then, the agency has been slowly working through the planning applications submitted to the SHD. The updated figures were published on April the 17th after the list detailing the scale of rejections and delays mysteriously disappeared from the ABP website for almost a month without notification or explanation. On April the 2nd, Independent Senator Victor Boyhan wrote to the Planning Authority requesting they please forward him the current SHD list, adding, "I always download it same on ABP website but understand it's been removed," which always rings alarm bells, guys. 6 days later, in a Dáil question to Minister James Brown, Independent TD Catherine Connolly requested the number of properties on the current outstanding SHD planning application list. In Brown's response, it simply stated his department does not hold the information requested and referred her to an ABP email address for further information. This is anybody that was on are lucky enough to receive accommodation pre-2020 can consider themselves very, very lucky, because Ireland's housing crisis is in ribbons, guys. On April the 22nd, Senator Boyhan received an ABP response informing him the SHD list, which is the Strategic Housing Development list, which had been on the board's website, was removed at the end of March 2025 following queries which brought to the attention of the board that the list had not been updated. But folks, where is the problem? Ireland's on board Planala. A newly revised list will be on the board's website by the end of this week. In the meantime, please see the updated list as of the 17th of April. Senator Boyhan said the figures and ABP's responses to his queries are a prime example of the urgency for the Minister to get on with on board Planala reform. He also added the Minister will have to explain why all the SHD plans for housing units are not being built out and why the board appears to be so slow in an emergency in passing plans. The Minister must now move swiftly to make real changes in devolving powers to councillors and give councils the money to build houses. Well, is that a good thing or is it a bad thing, guys? Social Democrats housing spokesman Rory Hearn called the planning figures a mess and pointed the finger of blame at the coalition parties, and rightly so, guys, because look, we all know Ireland's housing crisis is in bits, it's in ribbons. The chances of those whose country of birth is Ireland getting on the property ladder or getting accommodation is not looking very, very good. They haven't resourced local authorities with sufficient planners. This government is continuously acting like it hasn't been in government for years. No, folks, and the reason being, political parties are not Ireland's government. They never were Ireland's government. Ireland has an unelected government that the people never get a chance to vote on. Reason being, Ireland has always been governed by civil servants and political advisors. You're led to believe that you vote for individuals in elections, folks. But the actual reality of that is they are all selected and installed into their positions by what has been governed Ireland over the past century, which are civil servants and political advisors. Sinn Féin housing spokesman Owen O'Brien said a lack of staff at the planning authority is to blame for the backlog in applications. The board has received sanctions for extra staffing, but these positions have still not all been filled. They need another 50 staff to clear the backlog, and this must be done swiftly. In response to queries on Board Planalis, which is Ireland's biggest problem, guys, along with what's attempting to govern the country, Ireland's housing. In response to queries on Board Planalis said a key factor in the delays occurred in 2022 when a number of SHD applications were lodged where subsequently a new city or county development plan came into force. The board has been making significant progress in addressing a backlog of cases that arose over 2022 and 2023, which included a number of SHD applicants. SHD again being strategic housing development. It is not possible at this juncture to provide a specific time frame for each outstanding case. Mr. Brown, who has so far proved to be ineffective on Ireland's housing, is facing criticism from the opposition, and correctly so, and within the coalition, amid a significant drop in building commencements this year, will likely not be happy with the number of developments progressed from the HD list. Speaking at the release of the devised National Planning Framework, NPF, last week, he said Ireland needs a steep change in the delivery of housing, adding, but every dog on the street knows that. Ireland needs a steep change in delivery of housing, adding, I am ensuring that the vital conditions for the accelerated delivery of new homes are put in place. It's all right saying it, but it's another thing doing it, guys, as we all know. But one coalition source noted, when it comes to that SHD list, more house permissions are being disappeared than passed. But folks, there's protests and every other sort of shite out there since 2020. Why is there not a protest looking for on Board Planala to step down and reform it if Ireland's housing crisis is ever to be solved? Looking at this current coalition, folks, we will be no further on by the time the next general election comes. And again, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael will promise the population, plus Sinn Féin, plus every other political party and so-called independent, because there are no genuine independents, they will promise yet again the moon, sun, moon and stars. But always bear this in mind in future elections, guys. While you are led to believe that you vote for these people, you do actually vote for them. But your votes never count, because these guys are all handpicked, selected and installed by what's attempting to govern Ireland, which are civil servants and political advisors, that the population never gets an opportunity to vote on. TDs, county councillors, MEPs, senators are all picked and chosen to be the successful candidates, unknown to the population's mindset behind the scenes, and put into these positions because they suit the type of individuals that's been illegally attempting to govern Ireland since 1919. Okay, guys, we will have a nice day and we'll talk to you all later. Yes, Kieran Martin, I'm 100% Thank God. Great weather. Talk to you. Good luck.